Hello and welcome to this edition of One-on-One with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili and thank you for watching. Hello, Mr. Leggett, how are you?
How are you, Lorna?
October, almost the end of the year of 2017, 2 more months.
Yeah.
Almost there, sir, right? Let's start with the procurement conference that recently took place at the Civic Center in downtown Silver Spring. Very successful, once again, about 600 attendees. How do you feel about that?
Well, people need to understand that Montgomery County is a very, very large county in terms of its budget, the things that we procure in terms of programs and services. County with a budget of $5.5 billion. And so when the county goes out to procure or to purchase things, it has a large impact in our community and affects positively and negatively those who are seeking to work with the government. What we wanted to do is to make certain that everyone has an understanding of the procurement rules and regulations, how they can be successful in terms of making sure that there is access, the competition is fair. One of the things that's noted in terms of the recent improvements over the last couple of years, that we have probably 40% of those that receive procurement acceptance with the county, about 40% new that are now doing business with the county that were not doing business 4 or 5 years ago, which suggests that there are large numbers of companies and resources that are out there that we had not tapped before. To do it right from the county's perspective, it provides us with competitive businesses that are seeking to do business with the county and gives us a better price because the more they're engaged, the better it is. It also provides the level of transparency, the openness and fairness that people are seeking so that we can expand to a broader segment of our community opportunities. And so we feel very good about it, but it's a story that we need to repeat over and over again because the businesses are not all the same. They move in, move out, and we want to make sure that the county is getting the best for its dollars in terms of what we spend and that the businesses are getting good opportunities to work with the government.
Director Branson was doing the rounds, of course, promoting this forum, and she spoke of the numbers, and one of the numbers that came up was approximately $400 million that were part of doing businesses with minority-owned companies and also companies that are enrolled in the local small business reserve program. Is that number high enough, or is it still a challenge to get more minority-owned companies involved in the process to begin with?
Well, we're about 24% at this point in time. A few years ago, we were about 17%, so we've made some market improvement. We want to see those numbers continue to improve because we think that there are large numbers of companies that are out there that can provide us with the kind of resources that we need and get the kind of impact that our dollars demand. But we want the process to be fair. And we want to make sure that we do everything we can in terms of our outreach that's fair, that's transparent, so that everyone, not just minorities, but the entire segment of businesses throughout Montgomery County, get a fair shot. In the past, some businesses assumed that they did not get a fair shot. They didn't understand the rules and regulations, that there was not as much transparency as it should have been. And as a result, they felt that they couldn't do business with the county. We want to at least remove that stigma so people come into this process believing in and knowing that they've got a fair shot at the competition that seek to do business with Montgomery County.
And this is about the first time the county hits those goals of 20% and above,
yes,
right?
Yes, we're at a number that we've not been anywhere near in the past.
And this is a good blueprint to follow, not only for next year, but years beyond.
Oh yes,
that.
I think that what we're doing now and on the Director Benson's leadership, she's done an excellent job of outreach, excellent job of helping to educate people about the process and seeking and obtaining a greater participation by the broader community.
Let's transition into domestic violence. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And of course, you did participate in an event earlier in the month as well. There is a campaign, ongoing campaign during the month. Basically, if calling for folks, if they know of somebody or are victims of domestic violence, to pretty much reach out for help. The Family Justice Center in the county. What is the status? This is one of those taboo topics that we don't openly talk about a whole lot, but the Family Justice Center sees about 9,000 individuals, has seen since it opened doors, an average of 1,100 a year.
That's right.
Is that a very large number in the county?
Unfortunately, it is a large number, and when we approach this month about domestic abuse and violence, I approach it with sort of a mixed view. One, the fact that we have to do this, we have to do it because, unfortunately, there still is a problem in Montgomery County and around our nation and around the state in terms of domestic violence. I would hope at some point in time in the future that we reduce these numbers down so far that we've eliminated the problem. Therefore, we don't have the need to have a month dedicated to how we can respond to the challenge of domestic violence. That's where we want to go, and that's where we should get to. But unfortunately, we're not at that point at this time, and therefore we need to do this special outreach to make certain that people have the protections that they desire, that we eliminate and reduce as much as possible domestic violence, because it impacts a broad array of residents throughout Montgomery County. 1 in 4 females in our community are going to be a victim of some form of domestic abuse. And oftentimes it is not only just the physical abuse, but it's the verbal abuse, it's the financial abuse, it's the use of technology today in a way that we've never seen in the past. And it comes from just a close partner, often an intimate partner who is abusing either men or women in this situation. And so we have to get out and make certain that people understand that we can provide services and programs through the Family Justice Center and others throughout the county, but we want to eliminate this problem. The best way we can do so is to show that it's serious, that we are going to use the law as effectively as we possibly can, and provide the help that families and the victims need.
And this help is free. And another point to highlight is teen dating as well.
Oh, yes.
it begins early on
very
in relationships. Mr. Leggett, let's talk a bit about transportation. Right on Extra, it's on the road already on 355 north and south. Any feedback from the Department of Transportation on how successful it has been in the few days that it's been operating?
Well, thus far it's been very successful. But you have to keep in mind that the first month is free, and we'll measure that success over a longer period of time. But it's designed to take cars off the road, especially one of the most busiest corridors in the entire Montgomery County, 355 corridor. So we want people to get out. The bus route throughout the month of October is free, but it's a utilization that can really help people from the medical center in Bethesda all the way to Lake Forest Mall. That's a service that is vitally needed in this area, because we want to get people out of the cars, and we want to make it convenient, safe, and enjoyable ride that would be somewhat more supportive than what we've had in the past. And so we think this limited stop bus route will help us immensely.
Okay, Mr. Leggett, we're going to take a short break. We'll continue talking about transportation. There's been a lot of transportation news this month in the county. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett.
Here's your chance to save money and help the environment. Bring your reusable bag when you shop, and you'll save 5 cents for every store bag you don't need. Retailers in Montgomery County charge 5 cents for the plastic or paper bags they provide. Why? Because plastic bags are the biggest single source of stream and waterway litter, causing pollution and flooding. And every year, Montgomery County spends $3 million on cleanup. So do yourself and the environment a favor. Bring your reusable bag when you shop. You'll fight litter and keep the change.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Hey, mister, down here. You illegally passed the stop school bus. I'm placing you in timeout, and this timeout means big fines, plus you really could have hurt somebody. That's why school buses are being equipped with video cameras to help kids like me stay safe, so respect the bus.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili. Mr. Leggett, we were talking about transportation before we went to the break. We'll revisit that topic, but let's talk about the minimum wage. This is something we talked about when we sat down last time. The proposal in County Council to raise minimum wage to $15 per hour by 2022. There was a very well-attended County Council public hearing, and last time we talked about, you kind of mentioned that this minimum wage increase could potentially place the county at a competitive disadvantage. You still feel the same way?
I still do. Unfortunately, it will. I think that there are a better approach. There's a better approach to getting the county to move toward a $15 minimum wage. But I think you need to do it over a longer period of time. And so I've suggested to the council that in order to secure my approval of this, and as you may recall, in the last time I vetoed the earlier measure because it didn't take into consideration a number of factors that I thought needed to be reviewed, that the time was too fast, that it did not have any consideration some support for young people, youth in terms of work. It did not take into consideration a number of small businesses, the impact the county government. And so as a result, I've suggested a longer time frame which to move this forward. And hopefully the council will look at that carefully and agree with the assessment that I've made. I think that is the better approach that we need. And if you want, and one of the things that we do not have in this bill is that there are no other jurisdictions in Maryland, and only one, the District of Columbia, has gone in this direction. But if you want others to follow, I think it is more likely they would follow the suggestion and model that I've outlined as opposed to some of the earlier versions of this. So in order to get a real movement and to ensure that we accommodate most especially the workers, many of whom feel underpaid, and also accommodate some of the businesses that will be negatively impacted by this, I think this approach that I've suggested is a better approach to get us to a county and statewide approach to approval.
Any feedback from County Council on that?
Well, we're waiting, and we'll see how they come out, but I think based on the information, people want to fully embrace a $15 minimum wage, but the question is how fast, how soon, and what are the exceptions?
Let's continue talking about the transportation improvements that have happened recently in the county. First, that dedicated bicycle and pedestrian priority lane in downtown Silver Spring,
right,
protected, 6 feet wide. Is it long enough to connect us throughout the county, or is this
This is the first area more, we need a more comprehensive approach, and we're working on that so that we would have more protective lanes, not only in Silver Spring, throughout all of Montgomery County, because in order to make certain that people are out utilizing the bicycle, many of them want to feel safe, and they want to be able to ride and have the safety of an area for which they do not feel that the cars would impacting them in a negative way. And so going to the pedestrian lanes and bicycle paths that are clearly marked, it would help the drivers who are driving so they would know what the challenges are on the roads, and it would help the bicyclists who feel that they do not have the protection that is needed. Now, not only did we in Silver Spring announce the dedicated lanes in the Silver Spring area, but we committed to other lanes throughout Montgomery County, and also to dockless hookups for bicycles that you can in effect ride the bicycles now with a simple app to be able to do so and park them in various locations. And it's a trend that is sweeping literally the world at this point in time. And Montgomery County, smart bikes, yes, that's what we call them. Yeah. So what we've done is to open a pilot in Silver Spring, and it can connect you both in Montgomery County as well in the district, because they have already introduced it, and you can ride right into the district and park your bikes in designated areas, and they're basically dockless. If you pick one up, you know where they are because you can go to the app and find them.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
We were talking about that particular pilot program on Spanish language
Okay.
radio promoting it.
Right.
And I got some calls from
Yeah.
folks asking, well, where are the bikes? Where do I
Yeah.
find them?
Yeah.
And I call them the range-free bikes. because
range-free
they're
bikes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're smart. So,
Yeah,
anyways, continuing on pedestrian safety improvements and so forth, also some announcements as well in the area of White Flint.
Right, yeah.
So to connect the growth there with Pike and Rose, et cetera, et cetera. You want to talk about those?
Well, it's just another continuation. In the last week or two, we've made several major announcements in terms of bike path, biker's path, bicyclists, transit-oriented approaches to our development, along with what we see up and down the 355 corridor. It's lots of announcements that we've had on major programs that we've announced over the last few weeks or so, all designed to enhance quality growth in the county, making certain that we accommodate the pedestrians and to relieve some of the traffic congestion that we see around this area.
Let's talk about Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon, obviously, economic development, it's looking for a headquarters, second headquarters in the country. The governor of the state of Maryland mentioned that about 8 jurisdictions in the state would be bidding. First and foremost, he said he feels that Baltimore would be a good location for Amazon. And is the county participating in that bidding process?
Well, first of all, I respect the governor and his decisions about what the needs are for the state. And I think that he has made a push for Baltimore, but the last time I checked, I was the county executive of Montgomery County, Maryland, and so Montgomery County, Maryland will be putting out its own separate independent bid. And I think that when you look at it and you compare, certainly throughout this region and throughout the state of Maryland, our bid, our proposal clearly would be one that is quite superior in many ways and responds quite well to the perspective that Amazon has put out. So I respect the governor in his position and trying to ensure that Baltimore is competitive, but when you look at the bottom line of what they need, I think Montgomery County clearly is in the best position in terms of going forward with this project. But we're going to fight, and we're going to fight very, very hard for what we believe is right for Montgomery County, Maryland, and also right for Amazon.
All righty then. I think I heard that loud and clear.
Yeah.
Let's talk about school construction. Good news, the groundbreaking of the new, what will be the new state-of-the-art facility in the county, the new Seneca Valley High School.
Right.
Groundbreaking, it's done. Wonderful, but is this enough?
Well, when you think about the growth in our school system, we've had over 2,500 students per year for the last 5 years, and that number is certainly to continue for at least for the foreseeable future. And so it's a need that it continues to grow, but it also reflects our determination locally to do a number of things as it relates to schools. A, to provide for expansion because of the number of kids coming to our system, but also to maintain existing schools in a better position to ensure that they have the quality capability in terms of technology. They have the space that is designed to accommodate a growing student body. And we want to make sure that when we spend our dollars, that the dollars that we spend are going to certainly enhance education, not only the teachers and the equipment and the resources we have, but a facility that can accommodate the kind of learning experience that I think our citizens in Montgomery County want.
Thank you, Mr. Leggett. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. Stay tuned.
Introducing Ride On Extra, coming to Route 355, fall of 2017. The bus with less stop and more go. Regular Ride On service has 80 stops between Lake Forest Transit Center and the Medical Center Metro Station. Ride On Extra has 85% fewer stops. Plus, Ride On Extra is all about the extras. Free Wi-Fi, USB charging ports, real-time info displays, and runs every 10 minutes. It's Ride On Extra. Less stop, more go.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Are you sure they can recycle us, Clamshell?
Hey, Dome, we're on a new recycling postcard.
I can't wait to make a new start. Maybe I'll be a red carpet at a big premiere.
And I'll get to paint the White House.
Shh, here he comes. Now you can recycle more plastics in Montgomery County, including #1 PET plastics such as clamshells, deli containers, trays, lids, domes, and cups.
Woohoo!
We're in! For more information on recycling, contact the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311. The wait is over. Recycle more plastics today.
Hello and welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. Mr. Leggett, let's talk about Wheaton. Redevelopment, any updates on that? I mean, we got to wait 3 years for one building and about, what, another year or so for the library and the rec center. Any updates? Everything going okay there?
Well, before we go on and talk extensively about Wheaton itself, I can't but not mention the fact of the death of Marion Fryer. An active citizen in Wheaton who fought for many years, participated on virtually every board, task force that you can name as it relates to Wheaton and all of the surrounding areas in that area, in that vicinity. She was a tireless worker on behalf of the Wheaton community, and she passed recently. I've indicated very clearly how strong a role she played in getting us to the point that we are today, that we are having a discussion and we see the implementation of her vision and that of many others throughout the Wheaton area. And as a result of her work, her dedication and commitment, I'll be naming the new town center in Wheaton after Marion Fryer, reflecting her great work and the things that she's done, not only for Wheaton, but throughout all of Montgomery County.
That's wonderful news. Yeah. It's up and coming, obviously. The community is getting really engaged. Recently, we had the first annual arts parade, and followed the following weekend by the first jazz festival in Wheaton. It's going to compete now with the Silver Spring Jazz Festival, which also took place recently. Right.
Well, that's wonderful to have a county that is growing, a county that is so diverse and interest within the community, and our community can, in fact, reflect and accommodate a variety of things that are happening simultaneously. And it's really wonderful. For example, the day that we had the Wheaton's Arts Parade, and I visited there for a brief period of time, and I talked to many of the artists and looked at much of what they were doing there in Wheaton. Right down the street, we had the Kids Museums, a big fair that had 15,000 people simultaneously. So one end of George Avenue to the other, major activities were ongoing. And so it reflects all the activities and the things that we're doing in Montgomery County to make us part of a community. And that's so important for us. Not that we're a large county, but we still need to retain the values of a community where people work together, families can come out and participate in parades and community fairs and look at things that are happening that really enhance the quality of life for everyone. And I'm so proud of those events, and we continue to do that virtually every weekend, every day in Montgomery County.
I know you have a very busy calendar as well, attending all these events, celebrations, and so forth. Let's talk about the environment. So October was also proclaimed in the county Energy Action Month, with a goal of reducing 80% of greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Can you remind us all what we can do not only 1 month a year, but throughout the year in order to help the environment and conserve energy, obviously?
Well, first thing that we oftentimes fail to recognize is that we have the control of reducing or conserving energy. You know, simple things as turning off lights, making certain that we reduce the amount of energy that is needed for cooling and heating throughout the winter and summer. Those things are valuable. Changing the kinds of lighting that we have, the bulbs that we have today that preserve and reduce the amount of energy needs in the county. All of those things are important from a day-to-day perspective. And you not only do that in your home, but in your businesses and everywhere else that you go. Carpooling, for example, where we continue to make certain that people ride transit or carpool so that we're not using all of the vehicles that we generally use in terms of what it does to our environment. All of those things are sort of simple things that oftentimes we need to be reminded about and what the effects of those things will be. We see the vast improvements that we've made in the county in terms of accommodating electric vehicles and how we've changed the fuel utilization in Montgomery County to reflect hybrid cars and all of the things that Montgomery County will be utilizing. So we want to use Montgomery County as an example, for the rest of the community and for everyday residents throughout our community. And if every jurisdiction is doing this and we fight and dedicate our communities and our individual selves to do this, I think that you'll see the improvements and we will reduce the energy needs and have a better and cleaner environment. Then more importantly, our tree programs, where we are constantly planting trees in Montgomery County. And we have a wonderful program to enhance the canopy of trees throughout the county.
How about the International Green Construction Code that was also adopted by the county?
That's right. We're leading the way there as well. So we're reconstructing our buildings and urging our individual residents and others as they go forward to use energy conservation measures in the construction. And that includes a variety of things of how buildings are built, the fuel and the energy components therein. All of those things are part of what we look at in terms of how buildings are permitted and get an approval for the county for construction purposes.
Let's talk about the first Unity Walk that took place on Highway to Heaven, our New Hampshire Avenue in Silver Spring. Brought the community together, faith-based community together again. There was a resource fair as well. Is this something that the county should continue? It was the first time and it was very successful.
Yeah, it was, and we will continue it because I think it reflects the great diversity we have. In order to show that we are a community that respect people and treat everyone with dignity and respect, there are things in which we need to make certain that we do. Respect the culture, the language, and more importantly, the religion of various components of our community. And so we have a very diverse community of religions in Montgomery County. And if you ever had an opportunity to travel up and down the New Hampshire Avenue, Silver Spring, Colesville areas, you will see the number of different religions all on one road. And we call that road oftentimes the Highway to Heaven because there's so many different faiths that are along that road.
So many congregations there. Let's talk about Burtonsville. We barely ever talk about Burtonsville, even though you live there.
Right.
There was, let's talk about that shopping center and the program where the facade was updated in many of the storefronts and so forth as part of a county program to bring back that part of the county.
Yeah, it's a part of our commercial revitalization where we've had some facade improvements and it looks quite well. I indicated that we made great improvements thus far, but there's a great deal of work ahead of other things we need to do in terms of making certain that the traffic accommodates the development that we see there and that we deal with the overhead lines that are all throughout the area. So it's a great deal for Virginsville, and we're going to look forward to additional improvements down the line.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leggett, for joining us today. And for you watching, any information to remember, visit the county's website, montgomerycountymd.gov. I'm Lorna Virgili, and thank you for watching.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
In Montgomery County, we have a goal to reduce waste and recycle 70% of all waste by 2020. By recycling and reducing waste, we save natural resources and make our community even better. So recycle at home, work, school, everywhere, and keep recycling going. For more information, call the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311 or visit montgomerycountymd.gov/recycling.
Keep it going.
Recycle more now.